Being a man is what our fathers taught us to be. But what if they were never taught either? Welcome back to Four Titles, One Truth.
Today's episode, Be a Man. Is it taught or learned?
All right, let's get into it.
All right.
Before we ever became men, where do you think your first definition of manhood actually came from? Like your father, your pastor, neighborhood?
My father.
Your father?
I mean, and it wasn't anything that he told, set me down or me and my brother down and said, hey,
PowerPoint
this is when
class.
you're a man. Yeah, no, I mean, it was mostly by observing actions.
Yeah.
Watching him and then seeing uncles or friends of my father's and, when they're sitting there watching a game or something or barbecuing over at my uncle's house and they're drinking beers and, so that, that's what, as a young kid is what I perceived as
manhood.
That's what you do when you're, a man and when you grow up. So.
Agree. So same for me. It was, like you said, observing your father. Mm-hmm. And the same for me. He didn't sit down and give me a class on it. I just watched how he dealt with my mom. I watched how he dealt with other people, no matter what their race. I watched how he conducted himself out in public.
I was going to say, that's the big thing. It's like watching when they're out interacting with other people that aren't family.
Right. So. And then the same as well, most of his verbal teachings on manhood were just simple, hey, blah, blah, blah. It was never the deep, how do you love your wife? Or, how should you talk when you're invited to the table? It wasn't any of that. So I think that initially we say the fathers, but then I think it goes even further where you have, your pastor, how they conducted themselves. Yeah, the men of the church, because we were in church a lot. Then you throw in the TV and the movies. And our time frame was 70s heavy, being 72 babies. We were right in the middle of that black exploitation films to where all the black men were built, all the black men they could fight.
Macho and woman killers and stuff,
Women loved them and men wanted to be them. And then the same thing with the roles on major movies. There's always a primary dominant man. And in our time coming up on major movies, there was not a lot of black men to see. So
not at all.
There was no separation to me or understanding of a separation on how men should be.
Right.
Whether based off of race or whatever. My takeaway was that men should be the leaders of their household. Other men should fear and respect them, and women should be drawn to them because of their leadership style. That's honestly what my takeaway was. Is yours different?
No, I mean that's about it. I mean that's the playbook. For, what you see.
The unwritten.
on TVs and movies. And what's something you needed to hear from your father or men around you that you didn't realize was missing until you were grown? That's something.
That's getting unfair right here.
Well.
Looking back, something I needed to hear more from my father was his failures at manhood. I think that would have, and I'm not even saying that he knew, because it took me forever to figure out how to be okay with explaining my failures and not worry about contradicting the manhood image I've been putting out there. So I think it would be his failures, and then I would also say more specifically on trials and tribulations of him growing up and understanding his relationships with race. So I wouldn't have to get hit upside the head with it. But I think I think my dad really believed that he was a man, and his the way he lived was, I think, what he wanted me to emulate.
To know, to see,
right.
yeah.
And then the hardships, I don't think he expected me to ever notice
Right.
those. Right. And so I would just say, his growing up, how his failures, when he first thought he was a man, and the way he lived his life.
I hear that. I like that, because I when you said that,
Mm-hmm.
I never heard that from my father either. He never told me, and I would have, being grown now.
Yeah.
That would have been nice to hear that.
Absolutely.
Man, okay, that joker went through that same thing too, and
Absolutely.
then it would have prompted probably more questions for me. It's like, well, what did you do?
Yeah.
Or how did you
Survive it.
get through
Yeah.
that? Because because I found out some stuff about some stuff my father went through when he was, in college, early 20s and stuff.
Right.
That
right.
would have been like, man, because that is such a difficult time, because you in that transition period from being
Figuring
what's
out.
what's traditionally like, okay, you're 18 now, you're a man, where they start telling you that you're a man, and you're like, what? Y'all still making food? What's for dinner tonight?
Yeah.
I'm living under you.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but yeah, absolutely. Just to, if I could have, because he told me that the main stuff, he told me that he loved me, he told me that he was proud of me, he told me that, he told me all of those things that, that touch you and inspire you and keep you going. But I also would have liked to hear how, why did you have to, how was it when you were raising your brothers and sisters, and you had to go to work, and some of those things that they had to do, that he had to do. And I don't know if he didn't tell me, because it's like, I didn't have to do that, because I know that, because I think about that now, and I'm like, man, did I tell I try to tell my kids, like, hey, growing up, this is what I had to do. And it was like most like the house, because my kids never really had like, we're on the washing dishes chores or the taking out, schedule where it was.
Right.
And I don't know why we didn't enforce that piece more. But just to hear about, I guess, some of those things that when he was growing, those stories about when he was growing up, some of those tough times, because I know they did, because they did grow up in the segregation and
the remnants of
all of
slavery,
that,
actually, because their grandparents were absolutely living during that time. And you brought up something that's different about us. So my father was not the oldest. My father, I think, was the third youngest.
Okay.
So his oldest brother, and oldest sister played more of a parent role than his actual parents.
Okay.
And I don't mean that to be negative.
No, I mean, that's just how it was.
Absolutely. And
That's
so your dad, being the oldest, they had two different roles.
Yep.
Because my dad, he had admitted to me, well, he told me, I don't know if it was like he was testifying or anything, but he admitted to me that, he never really got to know his father, because my dad was born in the early 40s, and his father passed away like in the 50s, early 50s, mid 50s, give or take. And his mother, my grandmother, passed away in, I think, 72. So my dad has admitted to me in the past that, my Uncle Jerry, the oldest, and my Aunt Sarah, the oldest woman, they were his parents. They took on the role of being his parents, not meaning his mother and father didn't talk to him, but like when his father came home from work, the living room was off limits to the kids, because dad needed time to
From being at
absolutely
work.
being pressured and ask 1,000 questions and relax, because a couple hours got to get back at it again, and then my grandmother, his mother, was active, but at the same time, even in leadership, when you can delegate and you're confident that the person you're delegating those roles to, you let them fly.
Yeah,
you know?
I mean, yeah, and I think back in those days, the kids took on more of those roles,
everyday roles.
Yeah, everyday roles of the house and helping to raise the kids. I couldn't, Mackenzie, go do, do whatever with your brother.
Raise my
like, nigga, get out of here. It's
Don't
like,
ask me no questions. Go ahead.
So, it's absolutely different times.
And so your father being the eldest, and once again, I'm no doctorate on anything, but when you talk about him applauding you and loving on you and hyping you up and those type of characteristics, it makes me wonder if that was developed in him because he was raising sort of family, because you had 7,
right?
Yeah, so he was,
because you say that, and I know that he didn't have the same relationship with his father
that he had with him,
that I had with him, but I know that he gets that that he got that affectionate from his mother.
Oh,
because my grandmother, because I used to have to stay with my grandmother when I was growing up, because both my parents were working, and my grandmother was the most kind. love on you, and I mean kind, but she could also flip the script and put that hammer on you. Yeah, so I know he got that piece from her, but I never got to ask. I would have liked to know exactly. Yeah, like what was his relationship? He had a good relationship with his dad, right? But I know it wasn't as close as. Yeah, but I know that he was working. I know that my grandfather was working
and was living according to what men were back then. But here's my last thing before we move on is your uncles revered your father.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying? And that's the same way my dad was towards his oldest brother, Uncle Jerry, and his oldest sister, Aunt Sarah. They, like when we would go visit, my uncle lived in Tennessee, my aunt was in Troy, but when he would go to them, I could visibly see the difference. I could visibly see the sort of the temperature in the room is they're in charge.
Right. The respect
and
factor.
They're respected and loved. And if my Aunt Sarah told my dad to jump, that joker would get, he'd get up and do it, But any other man on this earth, my Uncle Jerry told my dad to do something, but any other man on this earth, you could see the what we call the oozing confidence of manhood that my father had. Right. But when he was in that environment, you could see
he reverted back to that role where
we do when we're with our parents. Yep. And that was something that I didn't understand because, my Uncle Jerry passed away, I want to say sometime in the early 2000s. And I feel bad for not knowing the exact year. And then, or early in the late 90s. And then my Aunt Sarah passed away in the early 2000s. So I was teenager, when I was seeing it. Well, I was a kid to teenager when I was seeing it, and I was, I could understand what I was seeing, especially when I heard my dad talk about his relationship with my uncle and aunt. So, but I wonder if those two roles is what brought that extra those extra parenting techniques and know-how to your father, because that's what he had to do already, versus my dad being the youngest and just receiving and not really being taught how to,
Yeah.
to love on your kid. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean that, and I think the patience and
Yeah.
those things that yeah,
A parent,
yeah, that
would need.
that would need
Yeah.
in order to encourage, to push,
Right.
to have your kid, do what they need to do.
Yeah. So would you say hands down your dad was a leader?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. And I would say my dad absolutely was a leader. But I definitely know that his leadership style was more aggressive than kind, and I don't mean that in a negative way,
Right.
but I just think that's how he grew. So how much of what we call manhood do you think was really like from unhealed trauma, from generational trauma that our ancestors down to our parents actually has gone through? We're talking about discipline. We're talking about strength and survival.
I mean, it absolutely. I mean, because it was different. It was a different time. I think the manhood, the definition or how it's seen has evolved and changed
Absolutely.
over the years, because I think a lot of it was due to how it was back then that started shaping, how a man had to be in order to survive and protect their protect your family, protect your team, and feed your people, and do act the way so that people wouldn't come and start giving you some problems, try to test you and things like that. So I would say absolutely it was and when we talk about trauma, we're not talking about the trauma of
head injuries,
and things like that.
Slavery,
Because
the
trauma
whippings.
can come in a lot of different forms.
And that's what I think is the major difference between the evolution of manhood now in our later years versus what it was out there, because mental health was not even it wasn't a tab you could click on, And so I just like to paint this picture for myself, to where imagine you're in slavery time frame.
And that's hard to do.
Oh my gosh.
That is extremely hard to do.
With the freedoms you're used to, absolutely.
Oh man.
And this is where it's going to get even worse, because when I was thinking about this, and when I think about manhood, specifically related to black, the generational trauma that black men have gone through. So imagine you're a slave, and then imagine you find a woman that you want to take on as your wife, and then imagine whether it's the plan, steps to marriage or what have you, you end up having kids and you become a family. Now imagine that in that setting, and everybody can say, any race can say that your father is the head of the house, right? Supposed to be the head of the house. We're talking about disciplinarian and leader of the house. And yes, there are different scenarios, and the evolution has changed, but just stick with me on this one. And now your kids are, say, in their 10, 11, 12 time frame in their years, and your father is telling you don't do something, or telling you or bringing that machismo that we naturally have.
You're bringing the heat down on you.
Yeah. And then an hour later, you see him getting whipped.
I was going to say, I see where you're going.
Yeah,
with that.
or see them getting chastised and belittled. How in the world, well, just imagine how that affected the father, the wife, and the kids, having to play in and out of those moments and still developing a family that could grow and be more successful than they were, without knowing that there was an opportunity for success in life.
Just what we were saying at the beginning of this conversation about, we observed our, how we perceive manhood, or what a man should be, was by observing.
Right.
So if you're observing your father, your uncle, whoever,
go through that.
Yeah, go through that, and then like, okay, I'm confused now. You
Yeah.
know what? And then your father's coming back at you like,
Yeah, aggressive,
yeah,
and I'm
you're
in
like,
charge.
why are you coming at me like that? And
Yeah.
you just let
Ooh,
Mr. Charlie right there
yeah, just
talk crazy to
yeah.
you. So
And as we say that growing up, punk you out, and you're like, I just can't imagine how, because we know that my great grandfather is in slave time.
right,
My grandfather grew up under that, right? Then my father was only 50 years separated from
yeah, I
slavery.
mean they're in the shadows.
Yeah,
I mean
yeah.
deep in the shadows
So
of it. So
now his father is a father and leader of the family, and you're just like, how do you know what to do? You know what I'm saying? I know there's still that moniker of manhood, and there's still that idea of what manhood should be, but how do you go from a black man during slave time to a black man post slave time, then to a black man during the newer slavery of, or not really slavery, but demonization of black people when it comes to financial growth capabilities, education growth capabilities, the super segregation, going through all that. And you're just like,
I mean, you know what? The only way that I can even try to understand or explain it was when because I asked my father this before, my parents. It's like, how did y'all deal with that? Back in the 50s and 40s, 60s, or even the 60s.
right.
With the separate water fountains and bathrooms and the schools and all of that stuff. And I was like, how did you not just blow? And them just you hearing. People call you the derogatory name, words and names.
Knowing
like,
they
how
don't
did y'all
respect
deal
you,
with that?
On
And
a
my
daily
father
basis.
my father said, he simply said, he's like, that's just how it was.
Yeah,
So we would just,
yeah. You just
so
raised
they
in
go
it.
to
Yeah.
the left and go,
Yeah.
and keep on moving out. But they said that's just how it was.
Yeah.
And they would continue on. And and that's just like, what?
Yeah.
And it's just, it's because that's crazy to me when I know
who he is.
how this man, how that man was, and how his brothers were,
Right.
and I just,
Yeah.
it's hard. It's hard to understand, but I understand.
Yes, you understand, because even though you aren't adjusting the way he had to, you still have to make adjustments.
We do.
Absolutely.
We have.
Yeah.
And that's still crazy to me too. Where we look at in this day and age,
It's still a
50, 60 years from
Jim Crow,
and we're still
having to
having
adjust
these same
ourselves.
discussions and about stuff that shouldn't even be a thought, right? That shouldn't even be a thought or a problem.
Yeah.
It's other things we could be working on.
And then take this into effect, where the way we're raised in a black neighborhood is looser when it comes to the emotion you can have, the energy you can have, and all that stuff. Because when you're around other black people growing up, that energy's there, right? But you can't take that energy and then go into a white office and be accepted, first off, and be respected at the same level as everybody else, and then have a clear opportunity to succeed in that environment. You have to adjust to that environment.
You had to conform,
and we still have to do that today, because if you put a group of black men together out and they're friends, love each other, and want to have a good time, they're going to be loud, They're going to be confident, brash, and just enjoying themselves because they're
Just having a good time.
because the restrictions that they put up with and have to adjust and live by. When you're around other black men or black people,
safe.
absolutely,
You feel like you're in a safe
be
zone.
yourself,
Yeah.
right? And so, but the thing is, imagine going somewhere like an all-inclusive resort, and these group of men are having a blast, enjoying themselves. How is that seen by the other guests who are different races? It's seen as living up to some of the preconceptions that they already have about you. Yeah.
And it's like, ain't nobody drunk or
and have no
wilding out.
idea that this man is a doctor, this man is a lawyer, this man is a respected senior military leader, having no idea of their accomplishments in that. But all of a sudden you're labeled because now you're trying to feel comfortable, enjoy yourself. So that's the limitations on how men specifically still have to act today, black men specifically still have to act today. I just don't think a lot of people understand the double Dutch jump rope type of thing
I think
you have to go through.
In public, I think we act in a way to make others feel safe.
Yes, that is
nobody ever
default.
No one ever tries to make us feel safe.
Yes.
So when we are in a group, we feel safe. We feel like, okay,
and we can
safety in numbers.
Absolutely.
So do you believe manhood has ever been judged the same across races in this country, or have black men always been expected to prove something extra just to be seen as men?
Well, I think every minority has had to do it. But I think it's time and okay to understand that every minority's had a different path in this country.
Right.
So yes, I believe that the definition of manhood from the majority's perspective is not from an educated knowledge base, because when people, it bothers me when people say, if you want to succeed, just pull yourself up by your bootstraps and move forward and make it happen. It's not just that easy, because you don't take into consideration the hurdles and the speed bumps and walls that are in that path. Absolutely.
Because you could pull yourself up by your bootstraps, but then it's all the next hurdle that you have to go over, or the next step
it can
requires
slap you down, or require assistance.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Requires something that somebody's not willing to give you because of
your
race,
the
color
of
your skin.
Absolutely. And that's thing. So there's no question that the label of manhood is different for the different races.
Right.
And then there's also, you cannot without a doubt say that those differences are completely disconnected from each other. You know what I'm saying? Because there is a baseline of manhood that you can take. And the funniest thing is, when we were growing up, the definition of manhood, people would say John Wayne. You know what I'm saying? Because he was a rough and tough cowboy, whatever. But that was, if you were to listen to anything during that time, that was an example
that's the type
of
manhood that they're trying to bring back in our
But they don't come back and tell you
military.
that he was. When you look at his history of who he was, he once again, he had no compassion for black people's plight, and that's where I think the disconnect is when it comes to what manhood is. I'm not here to define it. You're not here to define what manhood is, but I do know that when you put the weight of manhood on a man, the basic things that I believe that includes is confident, leader, that confidence and fearlessness and drive and motivation, right? I say that would, if I had to write some stuff down, I'd say those are some things from the mental perspective that you'd link to manhood. Then you have to go back to physical strength, physical presence. You have to go to the way they carry themselves.
Right.
So
but
then,
but even those, when you start putting a bunch of when you start putting the physical aspect into it, then it's like if this dude isn't as strong as,
or look
as strong,
yeah.
does that make him less of a?
But I think there's a perception of that.
Absolutely,
you know what I'm saying?
Oh
yeah.
man, yeah. It
and that's where I'm saying it's coming from a place that just is not realistic.
Right.
That's why I threw John Wayne in there, because he had small feet, right? You know what I'm saying? And it affected the way he walked. And I'm just talking about because I researched John Wayne, because I
didn't
too
know that.
I
didn't know that.
Yeah,
wow.
I too had him as what the ideal. I fell for that.
Man.
Yeah, big guy,
big macho, domineering,
slapping men, slapping women.
In
all
control.
That. Yeah, and not really caring about anything. And so that misunderstanding of manhood is what men have had to grow up and strive for, even though it's not realistic. You know what I'm saying? It's not actually the man you want sitting next to you.
No, I mean,
especially
it's
if you're a
man.
wife.
Yeah.
Or especially if you're a kid.
Yeah.
Or a child. So that's that, right?
Right.
And then you say, okay, so how is that even adjusted for our lens, black men?
Right.
So my dad, looking at my dad, he was a big man, Looking at my dad, he was vocal, meaning he was confident, first off, meaning he was vocal, meaning he would say what was on his mind, and he took care of the home, meaning he worked his butt off, and the money he earned kept the roof over my head, kept food on the table, clothes even if we didn't have the best shoes, the top of the line clothes.
You had what you needed.
Yeah, we weren't leaving the house shabby.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so that's a definition of what manhood is. But what kind of trauma and mental health issues did my dad have? Like, for instance, being that on the outside, how was he when he was by himself? You know what I'm saying? And I'm not talking about sitting in the living room. I'm talking about by himself, where he wouldn't be interrupted with kids, wife, relatives, where he like driving, well, I can't say driving because you still got the fear of being pulled over, but you know what I'm saying? But just how was he when he was in silence by himself? Was he as confident as he looked? You know what I'm saying? Was he as strong and dominant as he looked? Meaning, did he feel that way? That's what I mean.
I want to see like how much of what was being projected and act, and how much, and then how did you really feel,
Because I can honestly say about myself, I'm not as confident as people think I am. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not acting in the way I am, but I've questioned myself. I've hesitated before, but if the majority of people that see me, that's not how they would. One of the things they'd probably say is, "Yeah, he's a man's man."
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And that is simply because of the characteristics that I inherited from my father, whether physical or just from me viewing him. You know what I'm saying? So majority of people that see me have no idea about my struggles in my life, about my insecurities that I've had to deal with. And I'm not trying to get the violin playing, but I'm just saying I am living the same path that my father lived. So how am I an improvement on him based off of the evolution of what a manhood is?
Because you're here, brother, and you're
Right.
talking about it
That,
now.
you know what I'm saying? But,
We're here talking about it now,
right.
and that's what makes it different. That's
Right.
what makes it. That's the evolution and what's making it evolve.
Right.
From where
Not
it is.
suffering by myself.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
and I didn't know you when you were in your 20s or
Right.
your 30s.
Right.
I don't even know if I knew you in your 40s.
No. Didn't.
No, we're probably when we were both 50.
Well, yeah, you knew me because I just met you. I was going to Vegas.
49, end of it.
49. Yeah.
But I know that you probably are not the same person,
All the
the
time.
younger person,
Oh,
than how you are now. No. And that's what I feel like, man.
but neither was our fathers.
No. No, I mean, that's what I said.
Yeah.
My father was not the same. I'm sure that he wasn't this, because I used to hear stories about him when he was younger, that how mean he was, and he would snatch
Violent,
a joker up, and I mean, just I heard
And
those
then
stories.
you know a patient man.
Yeah, I mean, especially when coming to the end, when I was grown and he was a little older, But I was still. I mean, and this is the thing. Growing up, I was afraid of my.
Absolutely.
It was like, oh my God, but not in the way that I didn't want to be around them, or would be afraid to come up to him. And
You just knew not
but
to
just
cross
like
him.
yes, I mean, it was
Yeah.
just one of those things where it was. I'm not doing that. I'm
Same way.
not crazy. I'm
Same
not getting
way.
snatched up, because you knew how he would, how he would
How he
react.
could, yeah.
or how he
Yeah.
could
Yeah.
react,
'Cause you
or
knew
how he
he
would
was
react.
Big back, strong,
Right. Yeah.
big hands.
Oh,
Yeah.
I mean,
So you-
heavy hands. So it was one of those things where it was just it wasn't a bad thing, but it was a thing that helped me to progress and grow and be a better man. Because I'm not the same man that I was when I coming up in my 20s and 30s. And I mean, I have.
You have to.
Yeah, I have evolved. I have
have
learned to be more patient. I mean,
You
just
have
all
to.
of those things that I look at now as like being respectful, being responsible, being accountable.
Yeah.
That's, to me, is like, if you can do that, I mean, you're on the right track of being a good man, a strong man.
A man.
Of just being a man.
Yeah.
Because I think being able to, I mean, because the whole, especially for us that are married and had kids, I mean, we just want to take care of our families.
Yes.
And you get to a point where, as you get older and stuff too, where it's like, okay, what can I do to help them be successful so that they can
Don't have to go
do
through
what they
that
want to
crap.
do. Yeah, you don't want them to go through the stuff that we had to go through, that our parents had to go through, that their parents had to go through. So that's probably why, with the crap that's going on now, why we're so vocal and upset about things, is that we're not doing that shit again. We already went through that.
You're not putting me back in
No,
that box.
that's not happening.
Yeah.
That is
And
not
it's not
happening.
because of me. It's because my son does not deserve that. My
No.
daughter does not deserve that. And that leads me to believe in what I was on my way to say, is that is the real definition of manhood the ability to continue the evolution of developing and growing into something that's beyond society. You know what I'm saying? That being in something, because, like you said, I can't point this out enough. It's not like it's 1,000 years ago where black people were not considered human, not considered more valuable than a cow or a pig. That was literally within my great-grandfather's lifetime. You know what I'm saying? So that's 2 generations away of having someone who could literally tell you how they lived their life during that. But the thing is, that was not what you passed down. Mm-mm. Because I believe no matter if you're a husband, if you're a parent, you want better for your wife, for
Definitely.
your kids, and for your life. And you have to break away from the ideals of what you thought manhood is. Yeah, I mean, you'll keep some of the characteristics, you'll strive for some of the physical, but you have to break away from that so that you can evolve, because
You have to adapt.
yeah,
You have to be flexible.
you can no longer suffer in silence as a man, as a black man, as just a man of any race, because if you do, you're not improving
Nope.
your situation.
Nope.
So that's
Well, you're staying stagnant.
Yes, and which means that generations will repeat themselves.
Yep.
Over and over.
Will you
if
be
there's
allowed to let people revert back to?
Yeah. Would you? Not have the energy or the knowledge or the
majority power
to fight back or push
silliness.
back.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's goodness. It has absolutely been judged differently.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
you just have to. I mean, again, like what we just were saying, you have to be able to evolve with what the times are. With whatever times you're in.
So check this out. Do you think most men are taught how to love a woman? Were you taught?
You just went all the way. You just went all the way, and it had to be me answering first on this one. Okay.
Were you taught
No.
anywhere how to love a woman?
No, and I don't know if you can teach a man how to.
You can prep a man on how to love a woman.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
You can't teach a man how to, because I think you're gonna. Each woman is gonna want to be loved differently. I think you got the basics,
but not you
got the basics.
You're not taught the basics.
No, you're
though.
not. You know what you're taught, or this is what I was taught to respect.
Yeah.
Respect the woman. Don't lay my hands on a woman.
But is the respect defined?
No, it's not. It's understood.
Is laying your hands on a woman defined?
No, but it's understood.
That's the.
I guess for me, I had that understanding of that means I'm not. It's not coming down with the haymaker, or I'm not smacking. I'm not grabbing.
Did you ever know of your parents having physical altercation?
Mm-mm.
Verbal?
I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure. They are.
No. Were you aware
that
of
they
those?
are? Yeah.
With the energy, like real arguments.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that was very not. I mean, that wasn't a norm. That wasn't a normal.
Well, yeah,
thing.
but it's part of life.
Yeah.
And that part of life.
But yeah, I never. I know my father never. Laid his hand on my mom. I'd say that he never laid his hand on my mom. I don't think that she hit him, but I don't know. She could have jumped up, got on a stool.
But my point is that what do you say you were taught or shown about loving a woman besides respecting a woman?
I guess when you see that's one of the things. It's like when you go out on a date, I would pay.
Was that something you were taught by your dad?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I would go out. I wouldn't. Yeah, go out. I mean, if I was asking, if I was one taking out, and we were going to the movies or whatever, I would. I would pay for movies, and I didn't.
See, that wasn't.
I didn't know about doing Dutch or none of that stuff like that. So I guess that's one thing that he
did.
He taught. Yeah, he taught me in that way. But that's a difficult question, because I don't. When you talk about teaching a man how to love a woman,
well, I just look at it as this. To teach somebody something, you have to know. Because if you're teaching somebody without knowing, then you're just throwing words out. You know what I'm saying? Like, no examples needed to give. If you don't know what you're talking about, but you're still up there teaching people, then how valuable are the words that are coming out of your mouth, first off, right? Then you absolutely have to take into consideration the experience that our parents gained, our fathers gained specifically, by being in relationships before we were born, then being with our mothers, and then us being born, and being married. So there are lessons learned because you have that hands-on experience. But
dating, because that's what I mean with Miles. I just try to dude. You probably tried to, you should do this. Try to give him little nuggets as far as, and that's like beginning a relationship stuff. So I don't know, and I'm sure that it will, like when he finds the woman that he wants to marry and he marries her, those conversations will change because
he'll start asking.
Yeah, because I had to learn that. After being married, it's like the beginning is different than where we are on this day in 2026.
Absolutely.
So, but it's because it's a like everything. If you're in it long enough, things evolve, things change, and you have to be able to change with those. You have to be able to grow with those, especially when you're dealing with another person.
Yes.
When you're dealing with another human being, they change. Yeah. They evolve. They grow. They grow.
One of you will change, or both of you will change.
So you have to be able to ask yourself too: can you love this? How this person is now? Because this person is changing, and this person loves themselves.
But that's that maturity that is earned versus taught. Yeah. So my perspective is no, the majority of men, and I really believe even less black men, is taught how to love a woman. No. I can absolutely look back and say I was taught how to treat a woman, meaning, you say, when it comes to don't put your hands on a woman, understanding the compromise that both, but since we're talking about men specifically, that men have to make in a relationship, that detail of stuff, didn't know. Didn't know and didn't understand. When I left home, I was not for a second thinking about a relationship with a woman. And working my way towards being a husband and working my way towards having a family. That was nowhere in my mind at all, right? And so without that being a goal, I didn't mature on that. You know what I'm saying? Of course, I dated or whatever, but I wouldn't even call what I did early on dating, because it wasn't like I had real intentions in my relationships with a woman. I didn't have those step-by-step plans of get to meet, get to know, develop feelings, fall in love, marry, have a family. That was nowhere in my...
at that, when we're young, I don't think that's the...
And so...
That's not the goal.
No. And then never putting myself in a position, because over the years, there were women that probably were, and I'm not speaking for any of them, that were interested in more, right? But me never allowing myself to get in a position to go down that path meant that every day, every week, every year that would go by meant that there was less learning for me to understand how to love a woman, And then you take all those years away and you mess around, and now you find a woman, and then you want to take this to another level. Where are you pulling from? The same thing you're pulling the Manhood card from the movie. And I'm not saying...
How you think that something should work.
And I'm not saying that you're taking a movie and following that path because you're not smart enough to realize that it's a movie. But, if you see 1,000 movies and how those 1,000 movies, 900 of them say that you lead a woman by walking in front of her and opening a door and looking at the definition of gentleman. That's once again how to treat a woman.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't tell you how to love a woman.
Right.
My parents never had the talk, that was the sexual talk, the pre-marriage talk, the how to sustain a relationship talk. I never had any of those conversations.
Mm-hmm.
It was all about trial and error, or thinking because of the other things that I was ending up being successful in life I was starting to be successful as a leader in the military. I was starting to deploy or PCS around the world and seeing how different women acted and carried themselves around the world, and military women versus civilians. So you're starting to see all these different experiences, and then you start to develop what you think is the recipe for success, right, when it comes to a relationship. But God forbid you're considered an attractive man, because you're going to have a lot of options, and that could slow down your maturity of what a relationship is and how to treat a woman. And then I'll just bring it to now, to where me understanding compromise and not having that connected to my ego is this is still some of the last stuff I've learned. You know what I'm saying? And loving somebody unconditionally and literally considering them before you do any action.
I was going to say, with any relationship, I mean, the only thing that, talking about men, you can bring to the table, bringing up first and then to the table, is that respect and stuff, because you got another person that's involved, because you're not going to be the lead in it.
Yeah.
You're not going to be running it.
Yeah, not always. And then, like I said, depending on the personality. But what I did know is what you went back to. I did understand what a gentleman was. I didn't take on all the aspects of a gentleman, meaning 100% honesty, getting out of your way to, help this relationship, whatever. That's stuff
but
that
you said
evolved.
You weren't looking for.
Yeah, it was not an idea. Yeah.
Or anything at that time.
Right. And then when you get in that situation where someone, because for me, it was pulled out of me. It wasn't sitting on the table waiting for me to serve it. You know what I mean? This unconditional love, this willingness to put someone in front of you I'm talking about, I'm hungry. You want something? You know what I'm saying? That's something I had to grow into. That's not something, I was think like, and you've been married twice, and you've been married almost twice as long as I've been married. So you've had a better connection point with who you're going to be with the rest of your life, and your evolution started way earlier than mine. Whereas I'm coming into a relationship of nothing but focus on me first, then I have a son. Then that broke me out of that me all the time. But it still didn't, that love for my son that was pulled out of me. It was something that I didn't even know the depths that I had, right. Because before he was born, I was nervous of like, am I going to, because I know it's been me this whole time.
Life.
Yeah. And so to have that evolution, and then know that that is going to be, you're going to evolve another major evolution once you find that person and want to live your life together. So it's something that, as a man, I was taught to be a protector. I was taught to be a provider. and I was taught to be gentlemanly.
Mm-hmm.
That was my understanding of what I needed to bring to the table to be in a relationship with a woman.
Right.
Well, yes, any type of relationship with a woman.
And yeah, what you saw that would be a successful how it was supposed to be.
Absolutely.
No, I mean those what you just
perceived
round up.
expectations of what women
Yes.
wanted from a man.
Yeah.
I did not go. I was in juniors high school level of understanding, not understanding. There's a high school level, undergraduate level, and then eventually a doctorate level that you have to get to be happy. But I will say, I did evolve into the point of knowing that to be happy in a relationship of love that isn't blood related, the biggest thing you have to know as a man is it's not about you, and do you really want it? And if you can get those two questions understood and answered, then you can be the best husband. You will evolve into the best boyfriend, husband, whatever that you could possibly be.
All right.
But good Lord, if it's a path you got to take.
It's a path, that's for sure.
And learn from quickly.
That is for sure. So, at what point did you realize that not hurting someone is not the same thing as truly showing up for them?
At what point? I can't give you a year time frame, but I can just tell you.
You don't have it down to the minute?
No. But I can tell you that when you hurt somebody, if it doesn't shatter your world, then you're not going to learn enough to be better. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
If you hurt somebody, and I mean, yeah, it bothers you because nobody wants to see anybody cry, hurt, or whatever. But if it doesn't truly affect you, I'm talking as a man, then you're never going to learn. You're never going to improve at a rate that's going to help that relationship be successful. Showing up for somebody, it's not a technical thing.
Mm-hmm.
Showing up for somebody is a 100% passion-led, emotionally led thing, event, action. You know what I'm saying? You have to figure out where your heart and mind are, and then that's where you start to realize what showing up is versus just being there.
Yeah, I mean, that it can be a little more emotional, you know,
100%.
Emotional, mental,
100%.
than a physical act, because the physical piece that's not difficult.
That's the easiest
part.
part.
That's not difficult.
Unless you start talking about how to make love, then that's
not
a
this type
whole
of show.
nother conversation.
Not this type of show right now.
Whole nother
we're not talking about that
conversation.
right now.
Well, I'm just saying,
Yeah.
like, do you pay attention to what pleasures your wife? And so that's a whole nother thing, or your mate.
That's also emotion. That's
it's
mental, emotional type of thing too.
Absolutely. You got to want to do that.
Yeah.
But being present is just one part of the problem, of the solution. Being present, and then being aware in your presence, and then showing up in your presence. Those are the doctorate level things that you evolve into.
And I'll say it like this, because I was married, I was married right after college.
Right.
So me and my wife, we grew up and were learning a lot of these things together. So and
you still had your father you could talk to.
Yes, I still had my father to bounce things off of,
Right.
which I did all the time to make sure I was going in the right direction.
Yeah.
And if I wasn't, he would let me know. But is to be honest, man. Is that honesty piece of it? Because you can. A lot of folks don't want to tell. Someone else, whether it's a friend, girlfriend, wife, whatever. So they keep it to themselves, and you can still be there.
Yeah.
But it's not It's
You're
still going to
not.
be some tension
Yeah.
there. It's still going to be some things going on there.
Yeah.
But if you're honest, you can get it out. You can talk about it.
And get
You
over
can
it.
say, okay,
Yeah,
yep,
or
this
through
makes
it,
sense.
not
Or
over
we
it.
can, yeah, I mean, because I
Yeah.
think you would rather do that so you can get past it.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
And then, I mean, then also you can see if you can't get past it,
Yeah.
then it's like, okay, then maybe we're
Decision
not
time.
supposed to be
Yeah,
friends or be here together or whatever.
yeah,
You know, but just, I mean, that's the one thing is just is being honest
yeah,
with that person and with yourself
yeah,
will allow you to push on and grow and get through.
yeah.
Truly being, we're talking about truly being, showing up and being
Yeah.
there.
But
someone.
being honest is that's a real commitment, because you're sitting there. Being honest means you're opening yourself up to maybe a conclusion that you're not prepared for. You know what I'm saying? Either way. So
But that's another
That's
evolution in
absolutely.
being a man.
And
You know?
that's the showing up
Yep.
versus being present.
Yep.
Agree. When people say manhood has softened, because we've talked about evolving,
Yes.
right? And then there's degrees to this evolution.
Yes, it is.
Because you individually as a man have to choose what degree you want to evolve, or what degree you choose to evolve. But when people say manhood is softened, do you see that as weakness or as men finally having permission to be human?
I think it's first of all, I think
I'm listening.
when you say manhood has soft, I think it as you grow, get older, I think that changes a little bit. I think you get a little softer, but not in the sense of changing up and not
Alert for the world.
yes.
Never call a man soft.
Yes. No, I think it's more of you understand more and you have more patience
Right.
instead of popping off
Yes.
and feeling like you have to be,
Super
you know,
macho,
superhero,
super
you know,
aggressive
Captain
guy. Yeah.
America sitting, I
Yeah.
mean, you know, out front and, you know,
Yeah.
because when you're young, you have to do, I don't say you have to do those things, but you do those things to separate yourself
Absolutely.
from the pack and to
absolutely.
be the little
Best
shiny
version.
trinket that you
Yeah.
you know, if you're trying to attract women or attract, you know, the cool, think you're attracting a cool friend, you know, you want to be out there and you're projecting those things that society
The
says
basic
manhood
the
is.
basic definition.
Yes, I mean, and I don't think that it shows is a sign of weakness if you are. I don't that word soften. I mean, yeah,
That's what
I mean,
I'm
that's
saying.
I mean, but
because of the way this so-called society defines words related to manhood, there are words that if you say them, you completely lose the ability to have a conversation. Because if you call a man soft, you're automatically challenging their manhood. But if you say the word, should men soften, you're at least not tagging them with something, but you're leaving a conversation open versus me calling you out your name.
right. I mean,
so
because
forth.
men get homophobic because you call them soft and everything. Oh, I'm not gay. I'm not what, you know, and it's like you're not. That's
Yeah,
not it,
that's
because
not what we're talking about.
you have a bunch of, I'm sure, gay men that are playing football and basketball and
we'll whoop your butt.
soccer and are what you would, you know, you look at them from the outside and say that's the definition of a man. That's a man, you know,
Yeah.
and then, but yeah, so I think that's the thing that we have to get out of our head is like soft doesn't have to mean that you like
Weak.
yeah,
Doesn't
weak
have to
or
mean, any of the taboo
less
words
than.
that are in
Yeah.
this so-called society of manhood.
I mean, I think that for me now, if you say soft manhood, I mean, it's just, yeah, I'm not popping off. I understand. I might give you a, you know,
Well, you understand the consequences of
Yeah.
life. You know, like I am a softer version of who I was growing
And
up.
I'm better for that because I feel like that it's better for my mental
Because
health.
you mature,
Yeah.
you grow, and you adjust to your individual
Yes.
situation.
Yeah, I'm fine with it.
Yeah,
So.
and that's why I say if you want to talk about manhood to a man, don't throw the word soft out, because that word soft is a trigger, and it's left up to individuals' definition.
Then I would want to know. I would ask them. It's like, okay, so what do you mean when you say soft? So that we can define that soft, how you're seeing it, or how you're interpreting it.
Yeah.
So that then we can discuss
and then
what you're truly talking about.
And that's a personality thing.
Yeah.
Because me on the other side, I'd say, you know, are you soft? You know, like, you know, do we want to have a conversation, or you know what I'm saying? It's one of them trigger words. Yeah, I'm like, it's one of them trigger words.
About to get into it.
Yeah. And so, and like, my life growing up as a man is directly related to the machismo. Mm-hmm. And the reason I say that is because growing up, my family was huge, and I was a late bloomer, right? And so I connected growth, I connected adulthood for a man as being growing. Yeah, absolutely. So there's a relationship to that. And then being around a bunch of big dudes, you have to, there's one or two ways you can go in that. You can evolve and grow into the dominant one of that, or in the competitive edge, or you can surrender to it and just not even try to compete, and then that could affect your relationship even with your family, you know. So, but you said it perfectly. You have, and I've said it before, right? My father, I'm my father's son. Mm-hmm. I have a lot of the characteristics, good, bad, and ugly, of what my dad had. My mom softened that, meaning her being there, and I know you would say the exact same thing. With my mom being there, there was always a constant, who do you think you are? You know, check yourself, youngin', you know, or, yeah, I still remember that time I stood up to my mom and she slapped me until I backed back down, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, when you soften as a man, you're taking on your experiences, you're taking on what you see, you're taking on your understanding, all of manhood, and you're finally taking that and becoming who you want to be.
Right.
And the reason I say who you want to be, it's who you have to be so that your life can be successful, right? So I'm not saying opening a door is soft for a woman, but that's something that I take pride in,
right?
You know, but my wife also goes directly to a door.
Yeah.
You know what
I mean, that's
it
doesn't expect me to
always
go and open up the door.
Sometimes not, but me softening is not reacting in a way that brings any type of anything to this moment. Right. If she wants to open her door, let her open the door. If she doesn't, God forbid, I reach out and open the door. You know, but that's an example, but that is the evolution I'm talking about. You know, and this is something that I definitely know. The roles in a marriage are defined on paper and in religion and in society, but they are nowhere near what actually has to happen in that home. You know what I'm saying?
No.
If you're a man in your house and you say that you are always in charge in that house, I would probably call you a liar. And it's not because I don't think you're incapable of that. I'm saying if you're still that way, how is that a happy relationship?
That'd be exhausting.
You know what I'm saying?
Ooh,
And
that'd be
and if
exhausting.
it's happening out there, comment and let us know so that I can learn, because I know that I've had to. I am defined as an alpha man because it's my personality and it's what I felt I had to strive for, right? And so if I'm in a room, I automatically start comparing myself to people. You know what I'm saying? And then when I compare it, and this is a problem, I'm not saying this is something I'm proud of, and then I start to compete with people in a room, and it becomes consuming to me. And that's how it's been my whole life.
Yeah, that's exhausting.
It is.
That is
It is,
exhausting.
especially when you start to lose some of them competitions. You know what I'm saying? Because, like I said, going to the gym, I used to be that guy where I walk in, I knew I was the strongest person in that gym. If I saw somebody doing something crazy, I knew that I could either do that or do something they couldn't do. When you get to that point, and I'm just talking about the gym, you get to the point to where you see somebody do something in the gym and you're like, I'd die if I tried to do that because it'd collapse on my chest, my shoulder hurting. You know what I'm saying? If that's how you're feeling and you don't adjust yourself, you're going to mess around and kill yourself. You know what I'm saying? And so I've had to learn how to get out of my own way and just be and just live, you know what I'm saying? And like go to a situation and not have to feel like I have to move around to be. I can go into a room and be confident with what I bring to that room instead of feeling like I have to compete with everybody. If you're going to call me soft for that, then I've earned that softening and I'm okay with that, right?
Yeah.
But let's have a conversation of what you mean when you say that.
Yep.
And then if I take my lens and try to bring it into today's world, I see things that I think don't fit the norms of what I believe manhood is. But what I'm able to do now is I'm able to say my father's lens is not what he thought I should have been. You know what I'm saying? Because he didn't force me to do, like you said about the dishes. That was something that you had to do. You know what I'm saying?
Look, my I don't know if I ever told you this, but my grandma, this was when I was in college. It was probably like my second year in college. Came home, got an earring.
You did.
Yep.
He's showing out.
Went over to my grandmother's house and she was just like, Duty, because she called me Duty. She's Duty. Say, you got a earring?
What did you call her?
Grandmama.
Okay.
That's my grandmama.
I call mine Mom.
Yeah, grandmama. Yes. I was like, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. She was like, it's kind of like this, like little sissy, but that's okay. I
still love you.
That earring came right. I ain't never had an earring back in my ear again. You know, so yeah. So but you spot on where you're talking about. It's the perspective of that. You know, whatever
time.
generation you are, the
Absolutely.
time. Because it's stuff that men do now. You know, with the fingernail polish and things like that.
The clothing.
Yeah, I mean, I just couldn't. I mean, and I don't have. It's like, okay, that's how you want to roll, but I'm not questioning their manhood or anything. And but it's just like I'm not doing that.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And also, like I said, like my father, my grandfather were to walk in and see how I handle things. They would have the same thing. So the comfort of that is that if you step back for a second, nothing's as it used to be. There's nothing as it used to be because the world has to evolve. Yep. You as a person you as a man have to evolve. You as a black man have to evolve. Yep. And if you don't evolve and you stay stuck in a rut, you're going to miss the opportunities that are out there for you, whether it be relationship wise, whether it be work wise, whether it be mental health wise, or whether it just be being comfortable with who you are. And so that's where I am now. And like you said, if I see a guy, especially a black man, and the reason I say especially a black man is because the manhood thing is what I know for a fact.
Just get judged a lot more.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
and it's
say
my
harsher.
lens. That's why I say that it's my lens. And when I look at it through the black man that I am lens, and you see a man with fingernail polish and in what we would label as female clothing and eyeliner, makeup, and sitting a certain way, all I can say is that is different than the way I was raised. But I still don't know that dude.
No.
So I'm not going to sit there and label him or her or him anything. Will it be a challenge for me? Yes. And what I mean by challenge, like if I talk to that person, it would be something that would be on my mind.
Because you sit there and you start trying not to fixate on.
Well, and also I want to understand. You don't want to understand, but it's not for me to understand because it's their path, it's their thing. So things are different. If you don't evolve, the cost is the happiness that's out there that you can find. That'd be the best thing I say.
That's. I mean, and like some of the stuff is like, is it even worth it for you to put that time and effort and mental
everything? So before we go further, what do you think it cost a man?
Okay.
And everyone around him when he refuses to evolve past the version of manhood he was, or refuses to step out of the era that they think was the best era ever.
He's not going to have them people around him. I mean, you're not going to be able to, I don't know how you survive that way. Because you're not going to be able to have the people who you want around you if you can't change as they change.
You'll never be your best self.
Yeah, I mean, you'll be getting labels, that angry man, that whatever. Yeah. You'll get those. Yeah, you have to evolve. Yeah. I mean, and I know that we've been saying that, been coming up in it, and it's not because that's the message we're trying. It's just facts. Yeah, how that is. So
if I hadn't evolved, I would not have Nikki. If I hadn't evolved, I would not have been successful in the military.
Yeah, I mean
I could go on. Another way I evolved, right? I've loved my mother since the day I knew who she was. I know that there are people out there that don't talk to their mothers regularly. I know life starts life or whatever. I was one of those people. I did not make that a priority in my life. When COVID happened and I could not get to my mom and my sister, that was something that I had to fix in my mind.
Okay.
And that's when I started to FaceTime every week. And it's something that I may miss a day, it may not happen every Sunday. It may happen Monday, Tuesday, or whatever. But once a week, I'm going to see my mom's face and I'm going to talk to her. And the same thing with my sister. That is a goal of mine. And if I hadn't evolved, I would miss the conversations. The conversations I've been able to have with my mother since my father passed in 2004. They're irreplaceable, first off, but secondly, oh, how I long to have been able to have those conversations with my dad. And I will not make the same mistake twice. And 2004, I was not in a headspace that I was aware and cognizant of how proactive I should have been in the relationship with my father to talk more. But there's no excuse now. You know what I'm saying? Right. And You're not
That's a maturity
guaranteed.
thing.
And that's that evolution that we're talking about. So my point is, if you don't allow yourself to evolve, you could still have some success. You could still have some friends. You could still have a family, but you fear, the fear is you will not be able to fully enjoy who you've become, the path that it takes to evolve, and then making it to the other side and seeing the change in your mindset, the change in who you are, the change in the people you surround yourself with.
Right.
You're stuck in an era that has no relevance now, and now you're that old man complaining all the time and wishing for something different that never can happen
You
again.
won't be able to appreciate it.
No.
You won't be able to appreciate your life.
No.
And you may not have, like you said, you may have those people around you, but if they may not be the people who you really want, or want around you, so.
And they're holding you back.
Yep.
The bottom line, man, for me is manhood is defined individually, but you can find characteristics of the title manhood in every man.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, I think that's the society version. I think we all have that. We carry that, in some way
because it's
throughout
so
our
ingrained,
life. I think at certain points in our life, some of that starts like, okay, why am I acting like that?
I think it just expands. You know what I'm saying?
Well, it goes from being that big, I got to be the big, what you call it, that piece starts getting smaller, and the piece that starts mattering, that emotional, mental.
Being a better man.
Yeah, that starts growing and getting bigger for you. So
agreed. So,
yep.
All right. Hey, thank you for joining us for Be a Man. Is it taught or learned?
That's right. And connect with us on YouTube and all podcast platforms.
Hey, just search 4 titles, 1 truth, and you'll find us.
All right, y'all. And join us next time so we can keep the conversation going.
There it is.
All right. Thank y'all.
Holla.